Now, if you know me, I really love the Need for Speed Most Wanted, the real Most Wanted. I've made videos on its successor, Blacklist, and even how good the soundtrack is. It's been my childhood game for a while. And objectively, it is the best racing game in the franchise, or maybe even best racing game ever, selling over 16 million copies worldwide. And the next game after the big hit was Carbon. It's also a good game. Drifting was back and a new event type like canyon races, but it came with sacrifices like lack of drag races and lack of need to engage with the cops. And despite the cut content due to yearly release in the franchise, they were still great. So in deep perspective, what made these games great? What was the ultimate recipe for it to shine so bright even today, with various mods and community that still enjoys it? First would be the gameplay. Most Wanted was the first to introduce open world cop chases which can get really chaotic and fun at times. Then there was a car customization, not as deep as Underground but enough to express your own taste in your ride. Then it would be the physics, with satisfying moments and grippy handling with a touch of an awesome soundtrack in the mix. Secondly, it would be the story. I love the story of Most Wanted and Carbon. Sure, it isn't in everybody's mind as the priority or even necessary that they care. And it wasn't the peak of storyline or plot or acting or anything in that regard. But if you don't think that they are cool as hell, then I don't know what is. Noodle put it really well when he said that
People love to clown on these cutscenes like they're the worst thing ever, which is stupid. The based opinion is that they are the worst thing ever, and it's amazing.
He shadowed me. I couldn't shake up.
the characters were really memorable and had an awesome screen presence, especially Ronnie and Cross, even Darius from Carbon. Then came Need for Speed Pro Street. Though it being a simcade racing game, it was really fun to play in terms of gameplay, customization and progression. Story was a very simple one, beat these 4 kings and raise the final boss, being Ryo Watanabe. But if I'm being honest, I didn't think much about the game afterwards. It was fun when it lasted, but after that I forgot about it while revisiting it time to time, because it doesn't have that ultimate recipe my childhood me was yearning for, mainly lack of cops. So imagine the excitement I had when the trailer for Need for Speed Undercover came in. It showed me everything: fast cars, police chases, customization, illegal street racing, and a dark storyline of being an undercover cop. And when it came out, boy did it disappoint us all. Now I want to start off with this. EA Black Box, at the time of developing Need for Speed Most Wanted, was thinking of adding Mia Townsend and Rog into the blacklist. And at this point, the story of Need for Speed Most Wanted would have been a very different one. And I think in this version, we were the undercover cop, since in the early builds and promotional material of Most Wanted consisted races against both Rog and Mia. But in the final game, however, both of them are absent from the blacklist. Rog helps us to progress in the game, and Mia was also there to help us progress while secretly being an undercover cop, and arrested every single blacklist member as we defeated them. Now I know this is a very big claim and it is just a speculation after all, but I think the undercover we got has some of the soul of the very early builds of NFS Most Wanted storyline, and therefore had great potential. Like, this game's story was the idea which came to Black Box when developing Most Wanted. But I wonder if it's true. I guess we'll never know. With that thinking out of the way, let's talk about its release. As you can see, the initial trailers with the name Need for Speed The Chase and then Need for Speed Undercover afterwards showed us the Most Wanted style open world cop chases, fast cars and a new peek at taking down other cars. And when they saw the gameplay, you can guess the community was more than just disappointed with its awful graphics, gameplay mechanics, and other flaws, which deemed this game forever as Black Box's worst game at that point by the community, and even today it is still not a good game. And I know there were reasons why Black Box didn't match up with the quality of the game, and don't worry, I'll come to that later on. When it comes to my first experience with the game, it was back in 2017, 9 years after the release. Yes, I was late, but after I saw the trailer, I couldn't have missed it. And I was pretty hyped about the game because I had only played like 4 NFS games back then, they being NFS 2 SE, Most Wanted, Carbon, and then this piece of shit. And honestly, my 13-year-old impressionable ass was pretty excited to get a hand on this new Need for Speed that we all got. And with all of that in mind, this was my first glance at the game. Yes, that time I didn't know how to upscale graphics apart from resolution, so I played the entire game with the game that already had bad graphics but with much more lower quality settings. And as a plus, all the cutscenes were non-existent back then. I don't know why, but as far as I know, maybe my elder brother deleted those files with the cutscenes, so I was just playing just to play the goddamn game, just for that title of Need for Speed. So my initial playthrough wasn't good, but playing it after like 3 years when the lockdown was a thing, with more knowledge and cutscenes, I thought a lot about this game afterwards. And as conclusion, I like this game, even if it has a lot of flaws. So let's get in deep. Now if you're not me and have graphics settings to the highest and it is your initial playthrough in the Nissan 350Z, you would notice that yellow filter, or the piss filter as YouTubers like to call it,
If that didn't do anything for you, you gotta get your T levels checked.
is still present here, which was a thing of the 2000s. This aesthetic is kind of nostalgic to me because other games like Most Wanted and Race Driver Grid also had the same aesthetic. But here, it is too much in your face if I'm being honest, and the bloom with awful motion blur to make you feel like you're going fast isn't helping much. But despite that, the car models look really good in this game. Even the damage model looks very accurate, with detailed engine details when the hood is torn off. But other details like invisible wall really pissed me off in this shortcut when I was in the middle of a race. Then there are the pop-ins. It's sad because I know Black Box tried so much for the visuals, even adding a weather system when you notice a sudden change in visuals while looking back. They just needed some time for it. And it's more than sad because looking at the beta footage of the game, the graphics are surprisingly better there. Even the garage with the lighting looks better. It's impressive that they managed to make it worse in the final game. Talking about the map, it looks like a post-apocalyptic ghost town where there are as much people as there are fingers in my hand. It's just empty in all sense. There is no sense of threat of smashing through a traffic car to slow you down. It feels more like a frustrating event than a mistake, which hurts the gameplay even more. And speaking of gameplay, there is a lot to talk about. Coming to the events, drifting and drag racing was cut, but there are new events like highway battles and outruns, which has been done before in the underground, but anyway it's there. And in total there are 9 different event types, one of them being race focused events like sprint races, racing from point A to B, circuit races with multiple laps, checkpoint races where we have to race against the time, earning time bonuses each time we go through a checkpoint. And then there are the new event types like outrun, where the leader has to make the path for the follower and we have to overtake the lead AI and stay ahead of it for a specific amount of time to win the event. And the last race type event would be the highway battle, the most unique type of race event in the game. It is a 1-to-1 race against the AI on a highway with a more realistic and rush hour amount of traffic, and we have to navigate through the traffic to get ahead and stay ahead of the opponent by 300 meters or let the time run out to win the event, but tread with care or you can total your car. Second would be the cop focused events like cost to state, where you have to destroy a specific amount of property damage to raise the cost to state with the timer and then escape. Cop takeout missions requires us to immobilize a certain amount of police units in a particular amount of time, and escape events requires you to escape at a certain amount of time. There is another event type known as jobs, which helps us to progress through the story of the game, but I'll talk about it more in detail in the story section. There are healthy amount of variety of events, but they are not without fault. Race events like sprints, circuits and checkpoint races are too easy just from the start of the game, where opponents are miles behind you. Outrun races can be easily cheesed. You just have to get ahead of the opponent and take sharp turns to confuse the AI system, and even while driving, just take a 180-degree turn and you will still be in the lead. Only highway battles are a common ground for these event types, where you need some evasive skills to win, but sometimes it's just a matter of luck that the AI might get stuck in the traffic, granting you a 300-meter lead. But wait, there are master events in the game as well, with harder opponents, and can even have upwards of 2-tier higher cars racing against you. And then I was like, yes, finally, a worthy challenge, and I figured that it was alright. The master events were a decent challenge. They should have been the base difficulty for the game because I'm better than all of you. Anyway, after that you win, you get a high reward and wheelman rep, which is basically experience points, which helps us progress through the game. By a level system which gives us more bonuses like performance upgrades, zone points, bonus rewards and parts discount. Now I was not sure if these performance upgrades did anything, but they actually do something if you compare it drastically, but since we progress steadily, I didn't see the differences. Also, you can buy faster and higher tier cars and upgrades by the cash you have just earned. And speaking of cars, I would like to give this part to Marky 2200, because if you want to know about Need for Speed cars from worst to best, this is the guy for it. He tested every single car in NFS Undercover. Link in the description.
Thank you, Tani, for having me here. Yes, back in late 2020, early 2021, I thoroughly tested each and every single car in Need for Speed Undercover to determine their lap times, acceleration and top speed, focusing on maximum performance as I applied the maximum available performance and handling packages on each and every single car. When it comes to the driving physics in Need for Speed Undercover, the game has some interesting driving physics to say the least. It can be a bit odd at times. One notable quirk is the handbrake drift boost glitch. If you hold the handbrake for about half a second and you drift around a little bit, you can get an enormous acceleration boost, which is most notable on four-wheel drive cars but work pretty much on any car. There can be inconsistent acceleration when exiting a corner. Sometimes you get mad acceleration, very similar to the handbrake holding glitch, if there's a name for that. Because sometimes in my testing, when I exited a corner, I got mad acceleration, like genuinely insane acceleration. However, sometimes when you exit a corner, it accelerates like normal. I have no clue what triggers this. My best guess is that it's linked to that handbrake holding glitch. I would say this is more a glitch than a physics quirk. So when you reverse, switch to first gear and then to neutral and then hold the throttle, you will get insane speeds. Like if you are on a straight, you can get speeds of up to 500 kilometers an hour, which is genuinely insane. And again, I have no clue what triggers this. Another quirk, when you clip a wall, like very slightly, you will get a significant speed loss. So it's crucial, absolutely crucial, to avoid collisions with a wall whenever possible, because you will get mad deceleration. Last but not least, in terms of the driving physics, most cars have very stiff suspension, meaning that small hills will have the possibility to launch your car, literally launch your car into the air. So whenever you see like some slight hill or a dip or a gap, do not drive over it, as you will literally go into space. Before discussing the test results, I also wanted to mention the speed breaker, which is also present in Most Wanted and Carbon, and in Undercover it acts almost exactly the same as in said games. Very simple. When you hit the speed brake, you will trigger different driving physics, which allows you to turn the car more sharper, and that allows you to judge corners better, allows you to steer in much easier. So that's definitely a helping hand if necessary. Moving to how I tested these cars, to evaluate lap time I chose the East Valencia Hill circuit with a standing start and determined the best lap times after a few attempts. Reason being that this circuit features everything you need for a testing track while not being very long like many are. And things you need in a testing track are like high acceleration points, medium speed corners, low speed corners, high speed corners, high braking zones. And East Valencia Hill was pretty much the only circuit which had everything while not being very long. For acceleration was very simple. I examined acceleration by measuring the 0 to 200 km an hour and back to 0 of every car. Basically meaning that it was a test of both acceleration and braking. And for top speed, well, in my opinion, in Need for Speed Undercover, top speed plays a more significant role compared to the other open world Need for Speed titles. And I just got to a very long stretch, and in Need for Speed Undercover you have quite a lot of long straights, and I just saw which was the top speed of every single car. To then determine overall best performance, I actually added the results of every single test and gave an overall assumption on like which car is best in this, which car is best in that, and then I had like an overall championship system with points to determine which is the best. So basically for tier 4, surprisingly the best tier 4 car in terms of overall performance is not the Elise but the Volkswagen Scirocco, and it's not even close. The Scirocco outperforms all tier 3 cars, so that's the tier above the Scirocco itself, in terms of lap time and acceleration, while being average for top speed within its own tier. It even outperforms 5 of the 19 tier 2 cars on overall performance, which is just insane. The best tier 4 starter pink slip car is the Escort, offering average lap time but excellent acceleration and the best top speed among its tier. For the tier 3, your best bet is the Nissan Skyline, boasting the fastest lap time and acceleration among all tier 3 cars, and it has the second highest top speed. It was very dominating within its tier. The best tier 3 pink slip car is in my opinion the Challenger, however the RX-7 is a great alternative. Do not bother with the Audi TT and a Charger, you know, the ones you get after you done that race against Hector in those stolen cars. Those cars are very lacking in overall performance when compared to the Scirocco and the Escort, so if you've chosen either of these two cars, do not bother with the Audi TT and or Charger. I can keep it very short for tier 2 as the 911 GT2 is the best car you can get, and it's a pink slip car after you've done those couple of jobs for GMAC. The Viper is a close second, however there is no real reason to pick the Viper over the GT2 given that the GT2 can be obtained for free. And for tier 1, the best overall tier 1 car and in the end the best car in the game is the Koenigsegg CCX. However, please note that it is a DLC car. It offers the best lap time and acceleration with the second highest top speed among all cars. Among the non-DLC cars, the Veyron just is the best of the best, with the Corvette somewhat close. The Veyron is quite expensive, so if you don't have a lot of money going into the tier 1 cars, the Corvette is your best alternative. However, the Veyron is the best for non-DLC and the CCX is the best if you do have DLC. If you want more details as in what exact lap time some cars did or what the exact top speeds are, check out the testing videos that I made for Need for Speed Undercover. For now, I want to thank Tani for having me here and giving me a chance to ramble on my videos that I made. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Back to you, Tani.
Now before the most important gameplay aspect, I would like to talk about customization and performance upgrading system to your car. One of the more relaxing things to do in these games. Upgrading is just like the previous entries. You start with street parts, then race and then pro parts for each and every upgrade. There are also packages which instantly applies every upgrade to your car, for which I thought, nice. But actually it is more expensive to buy these packages rather than individually. I mean, who thought it was a great idea? So next time just upgrade it one by one instead of doing it all together with those packages. There is also basic tuning system like in Most Wanted, where you can choose either top speed or acceleration, horsepower or torque, etc. Customization. Let's talk about it. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I really didn't like the auto sculpt feature when it was first introduced in Carbon. It didn't look appealing to me. I just applied normal body kits to the car. It was especially bad when I saw this Eclipse. I was assured, if you say this is good looking, get off this channel. And the bad news for me in Undercover is that most of the body kits in the game were just auto sculpt, which looked awful. Only white body kits at the end were good enough, seriously. But apart from that, other things like rims, spoiler, exhaust were good as well. As for paint, different finishes like chrome, matte, gloss, metallic, etc. were also good, and vinyl editor was alright as well, because we already saw similar system in Pro Street. I especially love this ODS file I tried to replicate from the transporter mission, and it looks good. Now the most important part of the game, the mechanic that makes both Most Wanted and Carbon replayable even to this day. Cop chases. Oh my god. Honestly, from the start, the cops in this game are dreary in every way. I honestly didn't have any fun whatsoever. But before that, let me explain some of their mechanics. They're very similar to the cops in Most Wanted and Carbon. You endure in chaos, it attracts cops. The chase is initiated if you are seen by one, and then either you evade or you get busted. Bust means you have got to pay some fine, and then you get an impound strike to your car. 3 impound strikes and your car is gone forever, and you get treated by the most aggressive busted scenes I've ever seen. Damn, these are better than the both of these. But if you cool down, you get some wheelman rep. Now there are lackluster, uncreative pursuit breakers and hiding spots to help you cool down faster and get away from cops. The higher the heat level, the more aggressive the cops are. Heat 1 and 2 contains the normal Civic Cruisers. Level 3 and 4 contains a very particular car, which is particularly made by crashing a Mustang, a Camaro and a Challenger one by one in order to merge these cars into one cohesive thing. I mean, what is this car? Why didn't they just put a normal Mustang instead of this threesome going on here? Anyway, this heat also introduces roadblocks. Level 5 contains these Nissan GTRs and helicopters, and then the last level, 6, contains this Porsche 911s, Rhinos and spike strips, being the toughest to evade from. But I have a news for you. These levels are completely pointless. You can have any heat level depending on the event. As you can see here, we have threesome car and Nissan GTRs at heat level 1. So I don't know what it is. But Tanny, what about free roam? Then I have a news for you too. It doesn't work there either. I think your wheelman rep determines the level of cops you will put up against. Like now I'm at max level 15, so I get Porsches and Rhinos. Simple as that. So this thing here is as useful as the cops in this game, and that's not the end. The way this broken meter rises in heat is not by how much you piss the cops off, but how much money worth of property you have destroyed. It is straight up messed up. The chases aren't fun, nor are they hard enough to satisfy me to get through, and that's why I didn't look up at the cop events on the map. I just did the races to earn me some cash and jobs that require me to get into police chases. That was the only time I did it. That's it. You know what they should have done? Made the cop chases so fun in their respective events that the moment you are thinking of choosing the next event, should I take the cop events to have some fun, or should I race to earn more money for my car? I know what I would have chosen. It is sad because I remember every single place in Most Wanted because the cop chases made this whole map a giant playground to create chaos and have fun, which made the map quite memorable. This circle here is the university, this is the golf area, this here is the stadium, and this is prison. but I barely remember the map of Undercover. The only thing I remember is the mansion here and the map looking like a woman's head from this side. Speaking of maps, there are also these parts shops and car showrooms. These indicate your progression in the game. But why go there if all the things are already available in the cars menu? And does this even look like a car shop? It's so empty. But you know what? This feels peaceful. The soundtrack here is just amazing, quiet and at peace. The best thing about the game is the soundtrack. Rock and hip hop when you are cruising on the streets, but soothing songs when you're at the garage. And intense music on highway battles, Carbon Canyon style. Songs like APM, Avenger and High Velocity, and From First to Last, I Once Was Lost But Now I Am Profound, While Racing and Mighty Micro People by Amon Tobin are my favorite ones, just to name a few. So good in there, EA Black Box. Hey, posted it Tiny here. So looks like talking for 1 hour straight continuously makes your throat ache and also makes you sound like a broken amplifier. So before you have any practice, just don't do it. The most underlying aspect of a game, story. If you are a gamer, story always comes as a second priority, first priority being the gameplay. But I honestly don't consider myself as a gamer because as gamers could play a game with good gameplay but shit story, I can put up with shit gameplay but a good story. That's why I still to this day say that despite how cringe the characters were in Most Wanted, I still love the story with both good gameplay and good story. But what if a game has shit gameplay with shit story as well? You get Undercover. I know Black Box were very ambitious and the concept of being an undercover street racer is very interesting. But let's see how the story actually is. We start off with two helicopters speaking on radio about a suspect vehicle on the highway speeding, with the introduction of Black Box and all the other actors and actresses like Maggie Q. The suspect vehicle is being chased by civic units and turns out this is the player's vehicle and we have to drive this car till a roadblock appears. But before that, I always had this curiosity. What if we turn back and drive till the end? What's gonna happen? There's just an undodgeable roadblock with spike strips and then a barrier too. Cool. Anyway, if you continue forward, a roadblock pops up. No, it literally pops in. Like I said before about pop-ins. You hit the roadblock and a cutscene plays, where the cop car collides with a construction beam which holds to a part of a big bridge. And now the cops are stuck behind it. Except they aren't stuck behind it, there's a gap besides the part of that bridge, and wasn't there two helicopters behind us where we were only chased by one of them and they bailed too because they had fuel level critical or something, I don't know. We move on to Palm Harbor police station where we meet our first two characters, Chase Lynn and Lieutenant Keller. Chase has been impressed by our driving skills as an undercover racer, posing as a wheelman to bust car thugs in the city. Her department, FBI, is trying to recover evidence present in a car which was stolen by these car thieves from the docks. This evidence would help to convict various crime lords involved in smuggling rings in different countries. So we are presenting ourselves as a wheelman for the car thieves so we can recover evidence from them. Then we cut back to the game's title and have a look around Tri-City as we are greeted to this piece of beauty, a Nissan 240 SX. This is where I would like to introduce job events. This can vary from special races, takedowns, car theft, and losing cops in a special car, because after winning some races we could take part in a big race at Franklin Avenue where Hector would be watching us. So to get his attention, we have to win this race and impress him to be his wheelman. Note that Hector is also a car thief or car thug if you want to call him that. This is also a pink slip race, which makes it worth a while after winning it. So we got what we wanted, Hector's attention. Much to say, he's kinda impressed, though his younger brother Zach is not happy with us. Hector interferes and hands out the pink slip for us to choose. It ends with Carmen staring at us, indicating that she might be important to the story. After choosing the fastest car in the pink slip, we are confronted by Zach. He wants to challenge us with a race to either prove his point or to prove our worth. But this can be an opportunity for us to become Hector's wheelman. So we take him up for the challenge, it being a highway battle. While that is happening, he said that made me like, what? Barrow? What, Barrow? If anyone knows the meaning of that, please comment down below. Thanks. Honestly, this race isn't that interesting, it's just like any other highway battle. But now that we beat him, he finally admits that we can drive and keep us posting about some new jobs. And indeed he did. Our next and first job mission is to seal and deliver this Renault Megane from the auto showroom. We are at risk to be involved with the police units, but by avoiding them you can get away with peace. Something not relevant in the delivery jobs ahead, but for now Zach is even more impressed. Then we get a call from Carmen. You know, the irrelevant girl back then when we won the pink slip race? Turns out she wants to race with us as well, while not having any incentive to do so. But you know, she is cute and nice. So we have a run with her as well. This time being an outrun race, which is very easy despite her having a car 2 tiers above ours. And that being a Shelby Mustang as well. Anyway, we beat her and we get this sweet message.
Wow, that was great, Poppy. I hope you're that good in everything you do.
Haha, she wants to fuck the player.
Then we get a call from Zach for stealing 2 more cars for delivery. This time a beautiful C2 Corvette, and this is where we are introduced to the damage system in our cars. If the damage bar is empty, that means the car has been totaled and we have to restart the mission. And like usual, the cops are on loose, but only this time there's a police chopper following us. And once you are in the radar, the chase is initiated. It looks like you are forced into this chase because the helicopter is extremely difficult to avoid, but it is possible if you are driving perfectly. Anyway, you lose the cops and deliver the car. The second car we steal is a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10. Like before, it has a damage meter and a time limit with a forced cop chase on top of that. This event might seem hard at first, but it is relatively easy than the first one, at least for me. Progressing further, we are offered another car job, but this time it was Hector who had it in mind, deeming it as a mystery job. So we take him up for the job and we are greeted with Palm Harbor police on our tail. And turns out it was intentionally done. Hector calls in and tells us to prove our driving skills by evading the cops to impress him. And sure we did. And then comes the pointless cutscene of Chase saying,
"You're in deep. Exactly where I want you to be."
Anyway, then Hector calls us in and gives out another job. This time stealing car and racing against him at the same time. And if we win, we get to choose one car between a Challenger and a TT. So I choose whatever I want honestly, because Escort Cosworth is faster anyways. After that, we get to see Carmen's backstory with Hector and the others, like knowing them since they were kids and all, but she's not involved with them or their crew. So the story is trying to tell you that she's innocent or something. Also, who applies a lipstick while working in a garage? While she blathers useless stuff, we fade into Chase updating us that we have acquired enough evidence to convict these guys. I don't know how, but we have to take them down or we will blow our cover, says Chase Lynn. So we are tasked to take out Zach first. This is our first takeout mission, and if I remember, I was very fond of these things. I really liked this type of events, taking cars out while they have this damage indicator on top of their cars. The way you win this event is when you smash their car as hard as you can till they are totaled, and if they are out of sight and run away is when you lose the event. Now a couple of problems here. First is that why are we in a car that we just street raced in? Why not some other car or even a cop car to take them down if we don't want to blow our cover? I mean, that's the whole point, and it applies to all the other takedown events, but I digress. After we take out Zack, immediately we are tasked again to take out Hector, and so we give him a chase. But this time we have other two Hector's thug helping him escape by distracting us. After we take out Hector as well, he is taken into custody and the operation is extended to Sunset Hills. But then we get this call just after.
I've located the rest of Hector's crew. Take them down before they realize who you are and compromise this investigation.
Like they didn't already guessed when we did this to their leader. And now we have to take these thugs out as well for keeping our cover. But why didn't the devs made it so that we could take out the thugs first and then the boss? It's like you just completed the game by defeating the final boss, but his underlings are still left to kill. It doesn't make sense. But after Hector and his crew are out, we attract someone's attention, known as the Mystery Lady, who offers us a wheelman job for us to transport something. Now I'm not sure what we are transporting, the car or the coke. And speaking about this event, it is my favorite delivery mission. Not only because the car looks so great, but also the music played during this event is top notch, shunned by Recoil. Always love this. After we deliver the car and impress the Mystery Lady, we are back to our grind, and turns out after we get a call from Rose Largo from a new car group in the Sunset Hills whose leader is a guy named G-Mac, informing us about a new car race tournament in the Tri-City. We are informed again by Chase that one of these cars in the tournament is in the interest of the Bureau because Hector didn't have that car, and so why the fuck is he staring us like that? Oh, I know why. The Mystery Lady was Rose. I mean, come on, it's obvious. Might have told him that we can drive, and he's intimidated to say the least. Anyway, Carmen was surprised to see us on the streets because she didn't see Hector or his crew around for a while, and still she didn't find it suspicious. Maybe because she is just dumb. Also, we see Rose and Nickel sitting down in a Dodge Viper 2nd generation. But not only is the car not available in the game, but in the race as well. Nickel is driving a fucking Charger, a completely different car. Logic does not apply to the story, I guess. Of course, we win after that, and everyone gives up their pink slip, including Nickel Rogers, who is not happy giving it up. While that is happening, we get a proper introduction to these three characters. Nickel Rogers being a former boxer, or as she says, that girl lady over Nickel is Rose Largo, who keeps Gregory McDonald's or G-Mac's daily activities in check. And finally, my man Gregory. With a name like that, I can see why he wanted all of them to call him G-Mac, a former cop due to brutality. So he knows how to keep local authorities away from his crew, and it ends up with him saying,
Racer boy, pick anyone you want. Personally, I'd take Nichols.
also, where the fuck is that beautiful Charger? Man, I got ripped off. But at least I can redeem the Challenger. Furthermore, Carmen asks us for a rematch, and by the look of it, it looks like a highway battle. But there are no UI elements that say so. In this mission, we just have to follow her, and then out of nowhere, these black Lexus drives out to hit Carmen's car so they can total it. And as we are her boyfriend, because we know her, it is our job to save her. This event is actually well thought of. You have to take these sedans out before they wreck Carmen, which shows that Black Box could have done more than what they actually did. Anyway, Carmen was scared to death and
Who were those guys? They were trying to kill us.
kill you. She also says that she saw those cars at the Port Crescent, possibly involved in the smuggling operation. After that, Chase calls us to keep doing what we are doing, like street races, and don't think much about those sedans. Then a mysterious caller calls Chase. Seems like Chase knows this caller named Chow, but we don't know how. Aha. Anyway, around here we get a call from Nickel to a highway battle because he thinks we got lucky and we won't last in his race. So we take him up and he loses. But mind you, it was quite a challenge. And unlike Zack, who saw potential in us, Nickel just copes by saying he won't be nice next time, which indicates that he was going easy on us. Progressing further, we get an interesting mission of stealing a cop car to prove a point to Rose and the others. The point being that we aren't a cop. So we steal a Nissan GTR police unit right in the police station, as you would expect. The cops are all over us while we have to lose the cops while preserving the car itself. Delivering the ride to the shop greets us with this cutscene where G-Mac talks about something stinking, a bad smell from someone. Some people think that G-Mac thinks or suspects us of being an undercover cop, but I think he meant that we are as dirty at this game as he is, as told in the text line after we complete the mission. And now, we are the right hand man of G-Mac. And of course it pisses off Nickel, but who cares. We get 2 contracts after the event, one stealing a Mercedes Benz and second is to transport an equipment from a gang that Rose wants you to pick up. The delivery job starts with this good looking car and we have to get to G-Mac's garage, but someone tipped off the cops about the theft and we are in chase. No, not that, a police chase. Just evade it and it's over with. Next job is like a time event, but instead of cops chasing, it's these guys from maybe the gang and these guys hit hard. But despite that, we approach the mark in time.
I think I may have been wrong about you. Maybe it's time I reconsider who I'm letting under my hood.
Bro, that's deep. Goodbye, Nickel. Oh, and I forgot. Carmen's been calling us for a while and we have been ignoring her since then. But then she gives out a clue for our goal through a voice message explaining that a non-sanctioned job that Zack did freaked out Hector and that might be the reason those 2 disappeared. Next, we get important missions to accomplish. G-Mac is happy because an important job landed on his hands. The client wants 6 cars or 6 supercars while it needs to be delivered in the next 48 hours. They say the Port Crescent is where those cars are stored. That's why Chase wants us to complete those jobs as fast as possible so we can get a lead on the shipment connected to the smuggling operation on that same place. And he said that 6 cars need to be delivered, but we only get to deliver 4. I guess the rest 2 were just given to Nickel. First one is a Corvette. Very fun to drive, but we got company. We have to deliver this car to the garage without totaling it. It is kinda difficult when there are 4 of these guys. Second one is my favorite car and probably the hardest delivery job in the game. This McLaren F1 belongs to a racing driver in this big mansion and there's a tracker device in the car which activates in a few minutes, so there's a timer. A damage meter with the forced cop chase where they spawned out of nowhere. Anyway, I just barely made it in time. Third job is to steal a Bugatti Veyron from the Grand Hotel. Memories. This also forces us into cop chase with a time limit but no damage meter. Good. One thing though, why is there a spoiler or a wing on a self-rising spoiler? Thanks to N4S videos for mentioning this out. For the last job, we get back to the Crescent. This time stealing straight from Chow Wu, this guy, with a Ford GT and with only a damage meter. Not only do we have to avoid damage from these thugs, but also we need to evade from them. If not, G-Mac won't let us in. And when it's finally over,
3 cars, 48 hours? That ain't big. I could have pulled that off. What time to spare?
I think he meant 4.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how we get things done.
G-Mac is really overflowing with joy this time. While Chase confirms that G-Mac is connected to the international smuggling operation and might have a hand in stealing the shipment from the docks. But hey, we got these hot rides to pick from. And I chose the best one, to race with Rose Largo next. But hey, Carmen has been calling us for a while, but why would you give attention to this instead of this? I honestly don't know. She gives some Coyote and Roadrunner explanation and sets up to a race with her. Pointless chases cutscene, and here we go. While racing at 92% completion of the race, we get a message of quote-unquote brake failure. Not a big deal, this game's physics are easy to... This is where I think the game is trying to show you the risks of being an undercover officer, even so much as putting your life on the line for it. We cut back to the police station with Lieutenant Keller alongside Chase with her line,
I'm surprised you're still alive.
Keller wants to stop to this operation due to the major risk for us as an undercover agent from his faction. But of course, Chase is reluctant because of the progress we made to gather evidence. Her intentions seems like she doesn't really care about us or our life because of her mission, unlike Lieutenant Keller, who seems concerned as he says that Nickel cutted our brake lines because we were stealing Rose from him, which made him rage in jealousy. He continues on describing the connections of this case with an international crime lord named Chow Wu, who is a very dangerous man. How dangerous?
Very dangerous.
As Keller says with their own digging, which shuts up Chase for once. This is where I would like to talk more about the accident. It was only there to progress the plotline because we can get our car just after the cutscene. So... Oh yeah, Carmen, your potential love interest, has been calling you for a while, but you were busy.
I don't blame you for doubting me. This operation has been heavily compromised from the very beginning. Keep looking for that shipment Chow Wu wants, but watch out. He is a very dangerous man.
How dangerous?
Very dangerous.
Okay, I'll stop. In the next cutscene, G-Mac is angry and mad. And oh hey, Nickel, what, got demoted from wheelman to clean man? Anyway, G-Mac is mad because Chow Wu is giving him some competition when it comes to business. Therefore, he plans to steal one of his cars and frame him for the cops.
Let's go.
Such a casual talk coming from a guy who just tried to kill us recently. The event starts off with this beauty of a car that has to be driven to the precinct to get some attention from the cops, and right when the chase is initiated, the goal is apparent. Do 25k worth of damage to race coast to state in Chow Wu's car and then evade. After all that, dumped his car in his mansion. Hold up, wasn't this mansion owned by a race car driver from whom we stole the McLaren F1 from? I guess he went broke after that and sold it to Chow Wu, I don't know. Anyway, we dumped the car successfully, framing him with the cops. Neat. And Rose is impressed and is handing another special job to us, stealing an impounded car from the police and delivering it intact. The chase is quite easy even with the Porsche cops, and one thing I noticed after evading, the cops are oblivious to who you are even when you ram them. Anyway, you deliver it, the job is done, and this text. I think the Lamborghini Murcielago from the cutscenes that G-Mac had was impounded by the police by getting a tip from Chow Wu. I don't know, I'm just theorizing.
Surprised?
Wait.
How's your car running?
Details. Chow Wu has acquired our number and threatens us because we stole one of his car. But we have an opportunity to save our life by providing him with the car. The car that Chase and FBI is after. Chow Wu says that the car has something valuable to him. So we as a wheelman have to get him his car to save our life. And at this moment, Chase and we both are desperate in need to finding that car. By taking out every single crew member in G-Max crew, starting with Nickel. This is the first takedown event where the cops are on loose, but also forced onto you. And Chase says that we can't blow our cover, so deal with it. So we did and took him out like that. Next is G-Mac and Rose. First we chase Rose to take her down, and while this is happening, G-Mac happens to see us and giving us a hard time when we can only take out Rose first. We take her down and then it's G-Mac's turn and we deal with him too. And by the way, didn't G-Mac had that Lamborghini Murcielago as his car? So why is there a Gallardo in here? Who knows, maybe he's trying to stay low, as that Murcielago was impounded. Would be easy for cops to find it out on the streets. After they're out, Chase tells us to take out other gang members of G-Mac's crew. We take them out as well and finally get the car which was stolen from the ship. No, we don't. Chase informs us that the crew didn't have it and we have to keep looking. Well, fuck. Chavu is on my ass after all this time and we haven't found it yet. Oh well, let's just relax and meet our love interest for now. So looks like our ignorance was a bad choice. It was the non-sanctioned theft of this car by Zack that Hector was mad about. Because it belongs to Chavu, and so Hector asked Carmen to keep this car at her place. And that's why Chase and her team couldn't find anything at Hector's place. This BMW is the key to saving our life. And in the next cutscene, we find out that Chavu kidnapped Chase and is all tied up while she is relaxed crossing her legs. Anyway, Chavu wants us to deliver that car to him so we could save our life and Chase's life as well. When we get this car to him, then it turns out we were betrayed by Chase. They both planned to lower us with the car and kill us there, giving Chavu his car back with his briefcase and Chase her... Looks like she double-crossed us and Chavu both, killing Chow and framing us for his murder, confirming that she didn't care about us from the start. She only looked at us as a pawn to get what she wanted, and when she did, she fucked off. She escapes, leaving us behind and calls the cops on us. We have to take one of the black Lexus and attempt to get out of there. We get a call from Lieutenant Keller. He knows that we are innocent because we are from his faction, but it is going to take some time for him to clear our name from the bad guy list. Now, primary objective, lose the cops and then find Chase to prove our innocence. After the escape, the whole TCPD is against us. Keller informs us that one of the guys checked out and found the flight record of Chase Lynn. We have to stop her before she gets out of the city. Keller sends us her exact location. And wait a minute, why do we have this car again when Chase took it off? It is kind of a game-breaking event if you ask me. But as I am with $800,000 in the bank, I took the most beautiful car to take down Chase, Pagani Zonda F. We give her a run and the cops head in, this time being more aggressive than ever before. But when we, in spite that, do considerable damage to the BMW, Keller calls off the cops so we could take her down much more easily. And indeed we did take her down. His guys arrest her and taking a look at the missing evidence would be a phone with Chavu's record of his past. Why Chase got too far to get this evidence of Chavu's past records? I think it's because she had past connections with Chavu and the FBI would have found that out through that phone, thus making her want to kill Chow and fleeing while framing us for his murder. Keller is impressed, congratulating us for our work. We take it back to Carmen where she tells us about her being a medical student, and honestly Michelle Diedrich has to say something about it, and I agree with him on that.
There are also shades of classism here, like, yeah, this woman is a great prize when she's a mechanic, but wouldn't she be even better as a doctor? Obviously, I recognize that the income disparity makes dating a doctor a more attractive prospect, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but to so shamelessly put it front and center suggests a strong opinion on what doctors and mechanics are worth.
Oof, that part took way too long, but I think it was worth it. I like the story aspect of a game. makes me want to think more about it, more like I did here. But all in all, this story is not good. Not to say it's entirely bad, but it's inconsistent and illogical at times. But I would forgive the story if it had some awesome characters to back it up. And honestly, no one sticked out to me as much. Chase sounds bored all the time while looking like a carbon copy of my sister. Carmen is just stupid. Keller is alright. Nickel is a simp for Rose. I think Chawu and G-Mac were kinda cool, but kinda try hard as well. And the rest were just mediocre. A disappointment. But I know why. Black Box, a company or a studio that has made the best Need for Speed, with other Need for Speed which are great as well. Underground, Carbon, Pro Street, Most Wanted. Yet Undercover feels so shit in comparison to these games. With those games, how could Black Box do so bad? Look, before I start my rant, let's just take a moment and be grateful for what EA has done for us, even though I don't want to admit it. They are the reason why we got some of the best racing games while they owned Black Box. So with that out of the way, fuck you EA for making it hell for Black Box, making them work on multiple game projects like Skate, while dividing the already smaller studio we know of and shifting major teams from one game to another while giving them a tight deadline, like all the previous entries as a manual release franchise, and then expecting them to be good. From what I researched, only 6 to 8 months were given to this game, not even a full year. Let's just say that EA is like the dickhead teacher who gives you an assignment to write an essay on your favorite car maybe, while it needs to be done in the next hour. The essay must be 50 pages long. The front page must be decorated with a peacock feather. Last page must have acknowledgement. You must pay your tuition fees. You must walk your dog. You must find your father. You must see Instagram models because you are a loser. And chat with your girlfriend at the same time. Oh no, losers don't have one. You get the point, alright? That same teacher would expect it to be top notch and then disappointed, and he was surprised if it's not. That's the case with EA here. If they were just to give some or more time to the developers, focus and energy on this NFS IP alone, I may be wrong, but Undercover could have surpassed Most Wanted by a mile. Instead, what we got was a bad game and 2 mediocre games afterwards that nobody asked for in this franchise. 2 years. I just know 2 years and constant development of this game would have been a lot better, to the point of achieving the best racing game title maybe ever. It would have sold more than 20 million copies guaranteed. I just have that gut feeling of this game of a concept had tons of potential but was lost due to ignorance and time constraints, due to corporate greed and executives. But you know what? I'm a type of a guy who's keen to finding solutions. So here it is. Need for Speed Undercover Reformed mod. The closest we could get to a remaster. It improves almost everything. Graphics, cars, cops, driving physics. You can even choose between Most Wanted handling or the run. Of course we choose Most Wanted because we are not weird. It even gives you extra cars. If you want to download this mod, the link is in the description. You can also join Marky 2200's Discord server to get it and a step-by-step tutorial. And I highly recommend this mod to fans. At last, I would say that Undercover was a lost potential. It had everything you wanted out of a proper Need for Speed. Cops, story, street racing, variety of fast cars and customization. Yet it's one of the bad racing games and even one of the worst Black Box era racing games. I've played it and I don't even hate it for that. I mean, I made this long content for it. It showed me that Black Box had sights, a light, but EA was acting like EA, soulless cash grabbers. And that's why I would say that Undercover was all in all a great concept, bad execution. My lord, did I take a while to complete this one, but I needed it to play and feel the experience throughout my journey of making this video, and it was really fun. I would also like to thank my friend Mark from Marky2200 for lending me his voice and collaborating for this video. I mean, great guy. If you are a Need for Speed fan, might as well join his Discord server, and mine too if you want to, because I'm a lot less organized in my Discord, but it can be fun. So till next time, bye bye.